Good morning, children. Today we are going to study History, Chapter 1 What, When, Where, and How. In the previous class, we studied first half of this chapter. Today we are going to continue this chapter. Before we start, let us do a quick recapitulation of what we studied in the previous class. We studied these topics. Who studies history? What is the science of studying past called? What did the people do in the past? They were initially food gatherers and hunters. Then they started growing crops. Then they started traveling and living in villages, and after that took place the development of towns and cities. Now we are going to study how did people enter the subcontinents. Now before we study how did the people enter the subcontinents, let us study what are the subcontinents. On the screen you can see two maps of the Indian subcontinent. First is the physical map and second is the political map. In the first map you can see there are three colored areas: purple, orange and yellow. The purple area shows the Himalayas starting from Kirthar and Suliman range and ending at Indo-Myanmar ranges. Second part shows the fertile plains of rivers Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra rivers. And yellow part shows the peninsular India. All these three areas together form the Indian subcontinent. Now on the second map you can see there is a political map of India which shows the neighboring countries of India also, like Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. These countries together along with India form the Indian subcontinent. Now there are different names given to India. India, Bharat, Hindustan. You all must be familiar with these three names. But in the ancient times, India was also known by the other names like Aryavart, Jambudweep and Nabhivarsh. But the most common names are India, Bharat and Hindustan. Now you all must be wondering that all the countries have only one name. Why our country has three different names? There is a story behind it. Let us see why our country was given the name India, Bharat and Hindustan. Now why Bharat? Why was India named Bharat? The name Bharat is derived from the legendary king Bharat, who was ancestor of Kauravas and Pandavas, the son of King Dushyant and Shakuntala. Now why was India named Hindustan? Hindustan is sometimes an unofficial alternative name for the region where Indians speak among themselves or about the religion today known as Hinduism. So Hindustan is taken from the most common religion of India, which is Hinduism. And why India is known as India? India is the most popular name all over the world for our country. Now people from Iran and Greece came from the northwest around 2500 years ago. They were familiar with the river Indus and called it by the name of Hindus or the Indus, and land to the east side of the river Indus was termed as India. Yes, that is how our country got the name India. Now let us see how do we study our past. On the screen you can see three kinds of things. First is manuscripts, second is inscriptions and third are artifacts. Observe them very carefully. Manuscripts. What are manuscripts? Manuscripts are the books that were written long ago by hand, not by machines like we do now. Manu means hand and script means a writing. On this screen you can see two pictures. Both are manuscripts, but the manuscripts are written on different mediums in both the pictures. In the first picture, palm leaves have been used for writing the manuscripts. And in the second picture, the bark of the trees found in Himalayas were taken. The barks were thick and strong, and these barks were called birch. And using the ink, people used to write on them. So these are the two examples of manuscript. These manuscripts are very old. Over the time, they are eaten by insects, have got destroyed, some have been preserved by the monasteries and temples. These manuscripts were written for all kinds of subjects like religion, medicine, art, music, lives of kings, etc. Now, what was written on the manuscripts? The great epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, poems, plays, all these things were written on the manuscripts. Now, which language was used for writing the manuscripts? Sanskrit, Prakrit or Tamil language. Now, what is a Prakrit language? Prakrit language was the common language of the people spoken in those times. What are inscriptions? An inscription is writing carved into something made of stone or metal. For example, a gravestone or medal. Now, manuscripts are written on a soft surface and inscriptions are written on a hard surface and they are actually carved. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. In the olden times, the kings used to get their orders inscribed so that people could see, read, and obey them. Kings and queens also got inscriptions for what they did, like the battles they fought, their victories, etc. Now in this screen you can see three pictures of inscriptions. The first picture shows the Ashoka pillar at Sarnath. It is in Uttar Pradesh. At the Ashoka pillar, Ashoka got his message inscribed on it so that the people could read it. Second picture shows the inscriptions on Qutub Minar, our very own Qutub Minar in Delhi. Have you seen the inscriptions inscribed on it? Third, being living in India and living in Delhi, we all must have seen India Gate. On the India Gate, there are inscribed the names of soldiers who fought for World War II. Let's do a small activity. For this activity, you need to take a piece of wood and a stone. Use a sharp or pointed object to carve both the objects. Now write down your observation on a paper. Did you face any difficulty in carving? Which object would last long if you carve on it, and why? Have you ever been to a monument where you have seen inscriptions on stones, walls or wood? Write about that monument and what kind of inscriptions have you seen. The third item that helps us in knowing about the past is artifacts. Artifact is an object that is made by a person, such as a tool or a decoration item, especially one that is of historical interest. It may include statues, flower vase, pots, etc. Now in the pictures also you can see, in the first picture there are some flowers or pots which have been excavated by the archaeologist, and second one is a stone with golden finish on it and it is a decorative item. These are some artifacts found at Mahabalipuram in Tamil Nadu. The first picture shows Shore Temple. It is believed that this temple was submerged under the sea and it has been only a few years, say 50 years that it was excavated from under the sea. Isn't it unbelievable? Such a huge temple submerged from under the sea. And the second picture also shows some artifacts which are located at Mahabalipuram, and these are also thousands of years old. These are the two examples of artifacts and inscriptions. Now, the Golden Temple Amritsar is popular all over the world. It is a beautiful artifact and it is made of gold, and some inscriptions are also written on the golden walls of the beautiful Golden Temple. The second one is the Hawa Mahal. It is also a beautiful architecture. You can say an artifact belonging to the past. Some other items which are found by the archaeologists other than manuscripts, inscriptions and artifacts. These are bones of animals, seeds of grains and wood in chart form. In the first picture you can see a fossil of dinosaur. Can you see the bones of dinosaur in this picture? In the second picture, here are some seeds of grains which were found by the archaeologists. These grains are of different sizes and belong to different crops. In the third picture, you can see the wood which has been found by the archaeologists while the excavation work was going on. Historians. Now, who are historians? Historians are scholars who study the past from the information obtained from manuscripts, inscriptions and archaeology. Now, archaeologists actually carry out the work of excavation. They dig, they find out objects, and the historians, they study and give us their theories. The historians use these sources found by the archaeologists to learn about the past. They study each source bit by bit. So historians and archaeologists are like detectives who find out sources and look for the clues for studying our past. Different past for different people. Let us do a contrast in the lives of herders or farmers to that of kings or queens, lives of merchants to that of craftspeople, life of people living in villages to that of cities. In the first picture, there is a herder who is grazing so many animals. In the second picture, there are so many people surrounding the king who is sitting on the back of an elephant, and he is living a royal life. In the third picture, here are some merchants who are going from one place to another for trading valuable goods. In the fourth picture, you can see the life of people in villages. In the fifth picture, you can see the life of people in cities. All these pictures are so different from each other. This tells us the contrast in the lives of different people in the past. Such kind of difference exists in the present day world also. Now let's compare Andaman Islands to Delhi. In Andaman Islands, people get their own food by fishing, hunting or collecting forest produce. And what do people do in Delhi? People depend on others for supplies of food. Second comparison is between the lives of kings and ordinary people. Kings or queens got their life events recorded. Ordinary people like farmers, herders, fishermen did not get their life events recorded. Archaeologists have been able to tell a lot about the lives of kings or queens because we have records of them. But we don't know much about the lives of ordinary people still. Children, you must have heard about BC, AD or BCE or CE. What are these? These are years. Now let us see what are they exactly. In the diagram you can see in the middle is 0 year, which is called the birth of Jesus Christ. On the left hand side, the years start counting backwards, like 0 to 500 is the closest, 500 to 1000 is far, and from 1000 to 1500 is much ago. And after that, 0 to 500, 500 to 1000, 1000 to 1500, which is AD. Now, before the birth of Jesus Christ is called BC. In the Christian term, it is called before Christ. and after 0 years we have AD, Anno Domini in Christian term. In the secular term, that means all the other religions other than Christianity call it BCE and CE. BCE means before the Common Era and CE means Common Era. Let's understand BC and AD in detail. What is BC? BC means before Christ and BCE means before the Common Era. They mean the same. These are the years before 1 AD. It is important to remember that the year 500 BC or 500 BCE means the same thing. And we start counting the years from BC backwards. This means that 400 BC occurred before 200 BC. For dates and events after Jesus was born or after the Common Era, we write them as CE or AD. CE means the Common Era. AD means Anno Domini or the year of the Lord. Now some people have misconception. They call AD as after death, but it does not mean after death. It means it starts from when the Jesus was born and it is called Anno Domini. It is not called after death. CE and AD mean the same thing. Now the last concept of today is what is decipherment. Decipherment is the analysis of documents written in ancient languages where the language is unknown or knowledge of the language has been lost. Now there are so many inscriptions which we have seen in the previous slides. These inscriptions had some language written on them. Now the language which is unknown to the people in the present, the reading of that language is called decipherment. Let's see one example. A story of decipherment is based in Egypt. It dates back to 5,000 years ago and relates to the kings and queens of those times. Rosetta is a coastal town in Egypt. A big stone was found with inscriptions written in 3 languages and scripts. One of the language was Greek, the language of the people of Greece, with 2 other European languages. In this slide, you can see the stone, Rosetta Stone, found from Rosetta town and its decipherment. Can you see the Rosetta stone has 3 kinds of languages written on it. One of them is Greek and the 2 other are other European languages known to the people 5,000 years ago. On the right hand side, the archaeologists or the historians, they have read the decipherment of the language of those times by using some symbols and some alphabets. Like you can see in the third picture, it looks like a picture of a lion and they have given the sound L to it. Here is an activity 2. It is called coding and decoding. Just like the historians code and decode the languages of the past, which is called decipherment, here is an interesting activity for you. Given below is the code key. Using that code key for the alphabets A to Z, you have to find out what is the answer for the above written symbols. I hope you will like doing it. Based on our analysis for today, let's revise. Answer the following questions. How did the Iranians and the Greek enter India? They entered India from the northwest by crossing Indus River. Question 2. Where were the manuscripts written? Manuscripts were written on the palm leaves or on the bark of a tree which was called birch. Where were the manuscripts kept? The manuscripts were kept in the temples or monasteries. In which language were the manuscripts written? The manuscripts were written mainly in Sanskrit, and they were also written in Prakrit and Tamil languages. Which kingdom emerged on the banks of Ganga River 2500 years ago? It was Magad Kingdom. What are the full forms of BC and AD? BC means before Christ and AD means Anno Domini. AD doesn't mean after death. Please note that. What is the study of inscriptions called? The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. What is decipherment? Decipherment means the analysis of the documents written in ancient languages. That's all for today. Thank you, children.